Hello world, it's Lee Kelson coming to you live from our FireTech Connect Queensland studio. And I am joined today by CEO and founder of MIA5, Shawn Tansley. Shawn, welcome to FireTech Connect.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, it's good to be here on Zoom with you today.
We're just talking about Zoom fatigue. I find myself on Zoom from about 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night at the moment. But it's been good reconnecting with a lot of people that I haven't connected with for a long time. So Shawn, MIA5 doing some interesting stuff around robotics, and we're going to touch on that in a minute. But just for our audience, can you share a little bit about your background? And I think you're based on the Sunshine Coast now, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, so I'm based. We're split across two sites now. So I do the BD and the management of the company from here on Sunshine Coast, sort of 3 days a week, and then we have a factory currently in Brisbane, down in Mansfield there, where we do our R&D and core manufacturing. Looking to move the core manufacturing up here to the Sunshine Coast, in that very good growing sort of advanced manufacturing economy here in the Sunshine Coast. So that's pretty exciting times. As far as my background, I've got a diverse background. So started off as a communications tech within the Australian Army. Spent a number of years there doing specialist comms work, and moved through that field, and then eventually left the Army and joined the Queensland Police Service. Spent a lot of time there, and again fell back into the technology sort of side and communication side of the Queensland Police. And moved into their covert surveillance world and tactical surveillance world. So I did a lot of support to long protracted investigative sort of operations, and really problem solving areas where, whether it be an investigative based or responsive based around specialist operations and tactics, how can we better use technology? And I've found that that's been my passion, and that smart and clever use around technology across both my Army and policing careers, which sort of allowed me to travel probably more than people sort of realise, and engage with a lot of really clever people sort of around Australia and across the globe, and led to the sort of next chapter in my life, and lucky to have two very competent business partners and both with good diverse backgrounds from legal profession, high level management, and an engineering and tactical background as well.
And so MIA5, tell us a little bit about the birth of that and where that's at now.
Yeah, so MIA5 built in Australia, and around 5 really core individuals that brought something special to that core group. When we started, it was 8 years ago now, we had a Project Titan done with Deakin University to develop a field robotics platform that could respond in highly dangerous tactical situations. And what that what grew out of that is the company as we see it today. We have 3 core platforms, ground-based robotics platforms that are in the Ozbot family. So the Ozbot was Titan, the ATR, all-terrain robot, our Mark 8, which is a small, low-profile tracked platform, and then the little Ozbot Junior, which is a 2-way communication and inspection robot used for within industry, but also for police communications and those critical incidents sort of environments where they need that good, clear, concise 2-way communications.
Right, and I think you've got a bit of video there of just showing the Ozbot in action, particularly around fires, and we're going to talk about that after. But maybe you can share the screen and we'll have a look at our robot.
Yeah. So this is some live fire training video that we did. So this here is some, we're approached by one of the miners, Rio Tinto. They've got really sort of grave concerns around health and safety with their large truck fires, around their haul pack fires. You know, you're talking 370 ton vehicles, you know, with 4 metre diameter tyres. Once they get hot and catch on fire, if the truck catches on fire, they've got no way to, using traditional methodologies, to combat it. So we took that, our base platform, which you saw there, that was the unit over at JPL NASA, and attached a fire monitor to it. It gave us the ability to approach from a standoff distance of 300 metres, which is their exclusion zone. So the unit's capable of driving a charged 300 metre fire hose, up to the fire, and they can, you know, sort of do what they do best and apply, you know, their firefighting techniques, but, you know, from a remote presence.
Wow. That's very cool. And so that can go into fire zones without being affected, or?
There's still limitations, and it's interesting that, you know, using those traditional methodologies that firefighters utilise, you know, whether it's the fan or fog sort of spray pattern, it's amazing that behind it, you know, the temperature differential is significant. So that the robot itself does fine. It's all water cooled. You know, so we use part of that jet spray to cool the actual robot. We've got fans and secondary cooling technology inside the actual robot for the electronics, so it can continue to operate. The tracks, it's a little bit like a firefighter's boots. You know, if we keep the ground cool and always advance across cool ground, then the tracks aren't going to melt. But, you know, we are doing a very interesting project with CSIRO, their Data 61 team.
Maybe if you just drop your share screen down.
Yep.
So I've got, the Data 61 project.
Yeah, we're doing a very interesting project with CSIRO Data 61's team there around, you know, making the unit essentially heat proof. You know, we're talking the order of 600 degrees where it can survive, which will, you know, allows a whole another scope of being able to enter into the fire zone and, you know, collect all that data, you know, for, you know, the decision makers then to be able to apply the science to, okay, what's the best way to combat it? How dangerous is it? You know, we're not just doing core air sampling. We're really starting to get into, you know, the heart of that fire and, you know, decide, okay, how we're going to combat it, especially if it's a long, hot burning fire.
Yeah, so I was having a conversation with someone the other day about a fireproof skin. I think they might even be working with you on wrapping your robot in that fireproof skin, which sounds amazing.
Yeah, so that's the project there with David down at CSIRO. So yeah, it's a.
And so where are you at with the business? I mean, is it, you've obviously got you're working with some of the mining organisations. I think you mentioned you've sold one of the units to NASA. Is that right?
Yeah, so that, you know, super proud as, you know, great moment, you know, small Australian company, you know, being invited over to JPL NASA. But it started out with the work we'd done with, again, CSIRO and the DARPA Subterranean Challenge. So for those who aren't aware, it's a defence-led, a US defence-led challenge where they come up with these really difficult technical sort of problems and expect, you know, the broader industry and research organisations to solve. One of those is to operate and search in, you know, in a subterranean environment. So your cave systems, collapsed subways. The last round was a unused nuclear power facility. So CSIRO started using our base platforms, you know, to carry their sensor payloads for their robustness, their, you know, ability to climb and descend stairs and the like. And that's where JPL sort of, you know, took notice, and they flew out to Australia, met with us, and yeah, and the, you know, as I say, the rest is history. So
that's pretty cool. And so,
it's very cool.
Is that a significant contract now, or is that sort of going to work into being a bigger contract?
Well, it's at the moment they're using it for that subterranean challenge, so they're gearing up for the next round and then the final round in 2021. Yeah, they took delivery of the platform, and you saw there in some of the testing. That testing went for a week, and it was extremely rigorous, and they got exceptionally high standards, which was great because we're really confident in the way the platform performs. At the end of the week, they said, "Oh, we may have to reassess. Perhaps this could be modified and used, in space, where they were just looking at from a ground blade or an earth-based sort of platform."
Right.
But there is other considerations, radiation, advanced materials, and everything else, that you need to adapt into the platform. But the core technology has got them somewhat excited.
Right. And what's the I mean, obviously there's potential with our own fire challenge and the catastrophic fires.
Yeah.
What's the potential application in that space?
I think what you can do and using AI and sensory technology and everything else, and that the remote sort of command or automation of these units is that critical infrastructure protection. So it's so important that when we respond in these traditional and new ways, we're going to have to maintain that communication link. So whether that's between firefighters on the ground or just our standard telephone communication systems, electricity grid, if you have a fire that burns through and knocks out part of that national power grid, there's a significant impost cost and everything else. And it does then delay the response of those units. So even traditional methods are delayed, which then, you can extrapolate that out to no comms. It's no longer safe to send humans into that environment, or you can't pull them out should conditions change. So protecting that with robotics and AI, I think is something that we should definitely have those serious conversations and look to commercialise and move forward with.
And in terms of commercialization, are you getting traction with this in the fire sector now?
It's it's new and it is disruptive, and there's a conversation to are you going to take away firefighters' jobs, which I don't honestly agree with. We're just giving them a way to remotely apply their skill set. The experience that they've over hundreds of years of fighting fires, we still need that expertise to apply that in a remote presence. So that's the conversations I really like to have with end users, is that you're not now going into those environments where there's entrapment risk, burns, carcinogens. We can remove you from that, but you still have your skill set needs to be applied remotely. And generally once they've heard that, they come around and realise, okay, they're going home at the end of each shift, they're safe, they're well, and they've done their job.
Yeah, so it's not a matter of replacing them, it's a matter of complementing what they're doing and using the latest technologies to support their activities and make sure they keep them safe.
Absolutely, and it's not going to work in every fire. It's like that unit there you saw, it's 1 metre wide and sort of 1.2 metres long, so it's not going to go into a domestic house fire. So there's certain fires where it'll work for, and then others where we're still going to always rely on that human through the door.
Yeah, and so for Ozbot and MIA5, what's next? What does the next 12 months or so, aside, putting coronavirus aside? Get
out of the house.
Get out of the house.
Yeah. I think we'll continue to scale the business. We're lucky we've still been able to do some projects, even though sort of some have been put on the back burner. But really, sort of our business strategies, continue to engage and work with the customers we've got, engage and develop new customers. But things like FireTech Connect, really, work hard and get this technology, to use here in Australia, but then also look for export opportunities. There's no reason, as a collaborative approach, that we can't be exporting this stuff from Australia. And now, while we're all sort of locked down within our own borders, I think businesses should be really pushing hard to develop those relationships and get this started.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of what our mission is, as far as Fire Tech Connect, is really to try and create those paths and do, develop those partnerships and relationships, particularly with, places like California, where they share a similar challenge to us. And how do we start developing relationships with the research organisations, universities, state governments like the state of California, etc., which I know we've already got some of those companies that are working with them. Yeah. But how do we really develop that and then create that path to scale, so that once you've got your product ready to go, there's sort of a frictionless transition into an international market? Yeah.
As you're well aware from your experience, it takes a lot of work and drive, and we've just got to sort of keep producing the goods, and knocking on doors.
Yeah. Fantastic, Shawn. I wish you all the best, mate. It's great to see the tech, and
thank you.
Keep up the good work. And I'm sure we'll see more of you through the progress of Fire Tech Connect.
Yeah, look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Okay,
Cheers.
thanks a lot. Bye.